Hello everyone, Cool Dude Koermai here, and today I will be doing the first video of my new series, Choose Your Character. In this series, I'll be discussing the movesets of newcomers to the Smash Bros. Series that I don't see too many people talking about. This means I will not be covering characters that have been talked about to death, such as Banjo-Kazooie, Shovel Knight, Isaac, etc. Instead, I am focusing this series to cover characters that I feel have potential to join the roster of gaming all-stars that is the Smash franchise that I don't see too many people talking about. I will be making a moveset for these characters, and I will be open to suggestions in the comments to help me decide my next options. These include characters that I don't see too many movesets being made for, such as Doomguy, Phoenix Wright, and today's newcomer, Raiden, from the Metal Gear Solid series. I figured that I should use a character that I enjoy to get this series to a start. First, a little insight as to who exactly Raiden is. Raiden is the second main protagonist in the Metal Gear Solid series, which is my favorite series of games to date, and has appeared in many games ever since his initial debut in Metal Gear Solid 2. In this game, Raiden was sent onto a mission due to the supposed death of Solid Snake. As he progresses through the mission, he learns that his memories and thoughts are not real, and begins to wonder who he is. Eventually, Raiden joins up with Solid Snake and they defeat Solidus Snake, the main antagonist of the game. Raiden made his eventual return in Metal Gear Solid 4, where he helped Solid Snake once more, but this time as a cyborg ninja with enhanced mobility, speed, and strength. He remains as such in Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, a stealth beat-em-up developed by the people behind the Bayonetta franchise, where he is one of the Earth's last defenders after the death of Solid Snake. In terms of his abilities, even without his nanomachine enhancement, he is just as stealthy and strong as Snake with similar fighting style. However, due to his cyborg ninja persona and use of a katana, they act quite differently. Don't let his edgy appearance fool you either. Despite his dark and brooding look, he's actually a relaxed and normal person who shouts out one-liners and laughs.
Played college ball, you know. That's a cushy Ivy League school. Try University of Texas.
With the exposition out of the way, it's time to consider what exactly would Raiden bring to Smash. Metal Gear Solid was the first third-party franchise to join the roster of Smash, with Snake being planned from the start to be in Brawl, due to Sakurai wanting to put him in Melee as stated in the Famitsu column, but not being able to due to time constraints. And what better way to reference that with another fighter? And while a villain like Liquid Snake or Revolver Ocelot, who we will see in a future episode, would be a likely candidate, Raiden does a good job of implementing a playstyle that is different to Snake's, but still implementing core mechanics from his games, both Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. He's a fan-favorite character and would easily provide a unique ninja archetype that is only currently being used by Greninja. So overall, I feel as if Raiden would be a very likely second representative for the Metal Gear franchise. So enough disposition, it's time to discuss what you all came for here. What would Raiden play like in Smash? I will be implementing video clips of the origin of the move in the background as I discuss it, but please understand that some of these references had to be stretched a bit, so what better way to start things off with his design? Raiden's default appearance would be a blend between his Metal Gear Solid 4 and Rising designs, with aspects being pulled from both. This is similar to how Ridley's design in Smash is a combination of his Metroid and Metroid Other M designs. This design would take aspects from both appearances and combine them into a simple design. Parts of his armor would look like Metal Gear Solid 4 Raiden, with others looking like Metal Gear Rising Raiden. Personally, I would prefer the head for Metal Gear Rising Raiden, more so than his Metal Gear Solid 4 counterpart. Like every other character in Smash, Raiden would have alternate costumes that reference characters and things in the series. His alts would be the color scheme of the other cyborg ninjas in the Metal Gear Solid series, on top of other characters. These alts would consist of color schemes for the following characters: Gray Fox from Metal Gear Solid 1, Olga from Metal Gear Solid 2, Jetstream Sam from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, Solidus Snake from Metal Gear Solid 2, Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, and a palette based off of his color scheme in Metal Gear Solid 2. On top of that, Raiden would also come with his Metal Gear Solid 2 appearance as an alternate costume, which has no alts. although in the development of this moveset I did consider the option of having a codec color scheme Raiden as an alternate costume for his Metal Gear Solid 2 costume. Upon entering the battlefield, Raiden's entrance animation would be him walking up, taking off his suit and sunglasses, and ripping the high-frequency katana out of the suitcase. This is a direct reference to how Raiden prepares for battle in the opening cutscene of Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance, although it would be sped up quite a bit. While doing this, he would say, "Here comes the lightning," a less dramatic take on his iconic line, "I am the lightning." His stance consists of him holding the blade in his right hand, nearly identical to his idle animation in Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, with the only difference being his right hand being held over his right leg, close to where his M9 tranquilizer gun is being holstered. His first idle animation consists of Raiden moving his sword around, holding it exactly how he does on the Metal Gear Rising title screen. The second consists of him looking left and right, seemingly out of boredom, before rolling his shoulder and taunting the enemy to "come on." His victory screens would also go as follows. 1. Raiden sheaths his katana, rolls his shoulder, while chuckling, and eventually holds his fist up towards the camera, smirking. Name flash. Raiden runs up, Sparks following him, before doing a cartwheel, and upon landing, pulling out the M9, aiming it at the camera. Name flash. The camera pans sideways, passing a figure in a poncho and a sombrero. The camera does a double take, and Raiden looks up to show his face before smirking and doing a two-finger salute to the camera. Name flash. Name flash, by the way, represents when the character's name appears on the victory screen. Other smaller aesthetic touches to his character would include him leaving sparks when he runs, and metallic sounds when he gets hit. With all of his aesthetics out of the way, it's time to move on to the big guns, his moveset. Starting things off with his jab, Raiden would perform a downward sword slash for hit 1, a left hook with his other hand for hit 2, and finish things off with a straight kick forward. This jab does roughly 12% combined, and has knockback equivalent to other jabs. First and second hit come out around frame 3, with the last hit being frame 4. For his F-tilt, Raiden would pull his arm back and perform an electric palm strike directly forward. The function of this move is almost identical to that of Incineroar, with it being a kill move towards the ledge, but with a supple amount of lag, both startup and end. It does about 12%, and its frame data is 11 frames of startup, but 9 end lag frames. Up tilt consists of Raiden attaching his katana to his foot and quickly swinging it down. The hits above and in front of him, with a spike if he hits the opponent with the tip of the sword. The tilt does 9 damage, but knocks them at an up-forward angle as long as you don't hit the tip, so you can combo out of it. It comes out about frame 8 and has 7 frames of end lag. Its range is basically equivalent to Marth's jab and F-tilt attacks. His down tilt is almost identical to Snake's in the sense that it's a one-handed sweep attack. Although, after performing the move, Raiden performs a second hit by swinging his 2 legs around him. He essentially does a 360-degree turn with this move. Both hits of the move deal 7.5%, but it has the most lag out of all of his tilts, coming out at frame 8 with a whopping 12 frames of end lag, so he has time to return to his default position. It also launches the opponent directly upward on both hits, but has little to no kill power. His dash attack is a direct reference to Metal Gear Solid 2, with him performing his cartwheel attack. It's an attack similar to Snake's tackle that he performs in the Metal Gear Solid games, except this is his take on it, with a quick cartwheel forward. It's a 2-hit attack, with both attacks dealing 9 damage, but the first hit launches as well as the second, so it's unlikely that you will hit both strikes. The attack itself functions almost identically to Diddy Kong's dash attack, with nearly identical startup and end lag and linger frames. The main difference is that this is a kill move for Raiden, killing as early as the 90% range. However, to balance this, it is not safe on shield, thus leaving him open to attack. Moving on to his smash attacks, Raiden's forward smash is his compressed air attack from Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance. This attack has a hitbox directly in front of him, with wind boxes slightly above and below the hitbox of the attack. It deals about 21%, and this is the smash attack that kills the earliest, with it doing so at about 70 to 75% at the ledge. Its range is almost equivalent to Ganondorf F-Smash, but it doesn't kill nearly as early. It also has pretty quick startup time, taking only 9 frames before the attack becomes active. To compensate, however, it has 15 frames of end lag. Up tilt is a backward kick attack with a sword on his foot. The animation is almost identical to Fox and Ridley's up smashes, except he has a sword attached to the end of his foot. Like his up tilt, the attack has range equivalent to Marth's jab and also has a tipper. Hitting the tip causes Raiden to deal 19% and kills opponents at an average percent of about 87%. However, the foot, hilt, and blade of the sword deal about 9% with minimal knockback, which can potentially lead to follow-ups at lower percents. For its frame data, it becomes active at about frame 10 and has another 9 frames of end lag. Down smash is statistically the worst of them all. For this move, Raiden performs a breakdance spin kick. The animation is somewhat similar to the first half of Wolf's new up smash. The move itself has 12 startup frames and 8 end lag frames. It only hits once, dealing 18% of hit and has low launching power. However, it hits on both sides of him at the same time, allowing Raiden to hit opponents who are dodging behind him. Alright, moving on to aerials, Raiden's jump animations would consist of him jumping upward with little jets beneath his feet helping his jump. He also curls into a ball after jumping. This has no effect on the battle, it's just more aesthetic. Starting off with his nair, for this move, Raiden attaches the katana to the tip of his foot and performs a spin attack nearly identical to Bayonetta's up air. The hitbox is around for 16 to 17 frames and cannot be held for a longer attack like Bayonetta's. Despite this, it comes out a few frames faster and has better knockback. It deals 14% and has 4 frames of startup and 8 frames of landing and end lag. For his forward aerial, Raiden swings his leg backwards and attacks directly in front of him with a heel strike. This has very little range, but is a main kill move in his moveset, with it killing in the 75% range. It deals about 10% but comes out frame 5 with 10 frames of end lag and landing lag. Back air has Raiden shooting a small blast of lightning directly behind him. This move has more range than forward air, but doesn't kill nearly as early, it doing so at about the 80 to 90% range. In addition, it pushes Raiden forward a bit, similar to how Corrin's back air pushes her forward. Back air does the most damage out of all of his aerials, doing about 19 to 21% if he hits them. The startup of the move is less than desirable though, with 10 frames of startup and 8 frames of end lag. It has 10 frames of landing lag as well. For his up air, Raiden performs a basic sword slash. The move comes out quick at about frame 6, but only does about 12% and has little knockback when compared to the other moves he has. The end lag is about 7 frames, with 8 frames of landing lag. The move is quick and can be used to rack up damage pretty fast, but it has very little to no kill potential. Finishing off the aerials with his down air, this is Raiden's only spiking aerial. He attaches the sword to the bottom of his heel, followed by a quick stomp downward. The animation of the move can be compared to Ness's down air. The move has a whopping 12 frames of startup, with it spiking if Raiden hits the opponent with either his foot or the tip of his sword. If he hits them with the blade, he deals 13% with a little horizontal knockback. The end lag of the move consists of roughly 12 frames with 15 frames of landing lag. Moving on to his grapple game, Raiden's throws are a bit different when compared to those with most of the cast. His grab animation is nearly identical to Snake's, with both of them putting the opponent in the chokehold style grab used in Metal Gear Solid 1 through 5. The pummel is the rapid choke technique used by Snake and Raiden. Each pummel does roughly 2% and he can usually get 2 to 3 pummels off of a 10% grab. Raiden's forward throw is my personal favorite. For the move, Raiden attaches the opponent to a cable between his legs and performs a forward spinning breakdance. This move's animation is a direct reference to how he killed the Gecko Metal Gears in Metal Gear Solid 4. This is Raiden's kill throw, with it killing at about 70% at the edge. Raiden's up throw has him dunk his opponent face first into the ground, launching them upward. This has minimal knockback and would be considered his combo throw, with true combos stemming from it, like down throw into up air or up special. Down throw functions nearly identical to Snake's, but for it, Raiden just slams the opponent into the ground with stars above their heads instead of bubbles, referencing the knockout status of Metal Gear Solid. As stated earlier, the throw functions nearly identically to Snake's, with it putting the opponent to sleep, but with stars instead of bubbles. Back throw is Raiden's most unique throw. Upon input, Raiden drops the opponent and begins to drag them around by the lower half of their body. This is a cargo throw, with the animation being identical to Raiden and Snake's body drag technique. You can only move left or right with the cargo throw, and you cannot jump or go off stage or else the grab will break. To compensate for this, as Raiden drags the opponent, they will take 2% of damage for every fourth of a second that Raiden is moving while dragging them. Like Donkey Kong, this cargo throw leads to new throws, but in the case of Raiden, all of these throws are just light tosses up or down. He cannot throw the opponent forward or backwards, as those are the buttons he uses to move. None of the follow-up throws lead to kill confirms or combos, though. Finally, we'll be moving on to his special moves. Starting things off with his neutral special, for this move, Raiden holds the sword in front of him and begins to gather energy in it. This is a charge attack, however, it's different than most other chargeable attacks. For the attack itself, when inputted, Raiden begins charging electricity in his sword. This charges the same way as a projectile, although, upon fully charged, he blasts a piercing lightning blast from it, similar to Robin's Thoron attack. If it is used before it is fully charged, however, he performs an upward electric slash instead of the projectile. The electric slash has good knockback but cannot combo after or into it. The electric slash can be shielded to temporarily pause the charging, so you can resume charging it at a later point. From this point on, I don't have the video scripted, so if I seem more nervous, just please forgive me for that. Anyways, back to the video. Side special is the M9 Tranquilizer Gun. This functions almost exactly like Project M's Snake's Side B if you have played that game. What it does in that game is Snake shoots 3 tranquilizer darts out of his M9 tranquilizer pistol, with all 3 of the darts having the potential to put the enemy to sleep if they are not shielding and are on the ground. This move was very good in Project M, but it had a reload function after you shot the gun 3 times to compensate. This move functions nearly identically to it, although with new mechanics. The basis of the move remains the same, where if the opponent isn't shielding and is on the ground, they fall asleep. However, the layout of the move is unique, although it has the first 2 shots, you fire M9 rounds, which put the opponent to sleep. The third input of the move has Raiden throw the magazine of the gun. This essentially acts the same way as Robin's tomes do. It's enough to flinch the opponent, but you can't really control where it falls or where it goes. You can only hope that it hits the opponent, and it's just there to cushion in between the shots and the 4th use. For the 4th use, Raiden reloads his gun. This leaves him vulnerable for about 1.5 seconds, and he cannot shield to get out of it. Once inputted, he cannot fix it whatsoever. Upon reloading the gun, the move cycles through from the beginning once more. For his up B, Raiden slashes upward. This is just a generic slash upward with little to no fanfare or aesthetic whatsoever. Inputs can, however, be inputted afterwards, after the attack itself. You can either dodge or attack after the up special is done, as the move does not send him into freefall. This is to represent the combo part of the Metal Gear Rising games, where he fights almost identically to how Bayonetta fights in her home games, with a big combo pool. However, this does not lead to that many kill confirms and is more of a racking up damage tool, and as a result, this move has little to no upward recovery. He solely relies on his double jump and up special, and this prevents him from having a very good recovery, which will hurt him. For his down special, Raiden performs Hold Up, a technique used in the Metal Gear Solid games. Upon input, Raiden will take out the M9, and if the opponent is directly in front of him, they will pause for a split second. They will go into some unique animation where they put their hands up as if they're saying, "Don't shoot." From now, he can either shoot, attack, or grab them, as they are now open to any attack whatsoever. They only remain in this paused state for about 1.5 seconds, though, so you cannot charge up a smash attack. My bad, I take that back. It is not 1.5 seconds. I apologize, I was reading the wrong thing. It's actually for just a half a second, so you cannot perform a smash attack. It is more as just a disrupt tool. And this move does come out at around frame 3, so you can use it for a disrupt if you're in the middle of a combo and you don't know if you'll be able to dodge or shield out of it. This move does not work if the M9 is out of ammo, and if the M9 is on its third or fourth use, it will either throw the magazine or reload the gun instead. Moving on to his final smash, we have Blade Mode Rush. For this attack, Raiden dashes forward, taking anyone he hits into a cutscene. He beats them up a bunch of times with his fists before kicking them onto Metal Gear Ray, where he jumps forward, tackling with red lightning, and slashes them multiple times before cutting through it entirely. This final smash obviously will not be seeing any competitive use, so I didn't go into too much detail about the final smash itself, just what it would be. But we're not done with his moveset just quite yet. Raiden has a unique mechanic to represent one of the unique mechanics in Metal Gear Rising, Blade Mode. Blade Mode in Metal Gear Rising could see Raiden temporarily slow time to let out a flurry of multiple attacks in the course of a second. Obviously, we don't want the same thing happening with Smash 4 Bayonetta Witch Time, where you can essentially get multiple combos off of a barely damaging attack. So instead, this is a meter attack, where as Raiden hits opponents and takes damage, a small meter will fill by his health bar. This meter gets filled about once he takes roughly 35% damage or deals 25% damage. Once this meter is full, red electricity will begin to surge around him. He has entered Blade Mode, a one-use power-up. This allows him to cancel the N-lag of his next attack, allowing him to instantly attack the opponent with another move, allowing to new combos such as down tilt into short hop forward air. It starts charging again after it's used, and it goes away if not used in 10 seconds. This move will not guarantee dumb combos such as one-hit jab into forward smash. The starting lag of the move will still be the same, although it'll just take away the end lag from the move you use, essentially allowing you to, if you hit a forward smash, say, you don't have to go through the end lag of him recovering from shooting the concussive blast, and instead you can just go run off the stage and kill them with a forward air. And with that, we have finished with Raiden's moveset, but we're not quite done with the character in its entirety. We have a few smaller things to discuss, starting off with his taunts. Raiden has 3 taunts, all of them being unique, with the first one being another Metal Gear Solid reference to the box item. For this taunt, Raiden hides under the box like Snake, but instead of slowly taking it off, he jumps out of the top, saying "boo" jokingly. The box then disappears. It cannot be used as an attack like Snake's does.
The cardboard box that you have is ideal for fooling your enemies. It's a very important tool for infiltration missions.
Really?
Of course. I can't begin to count the number of agents whose lives were saved by a cardboard box.
You mean everyone's using them?
Look, I'm not exaggerating when I say the success of your mission hinges on how you use that cardboard box.
Huh.
But in the end, a cardboard box is only made of paper. Handle it with care, or it won't be of much use to you. Treat your cardboard box with care. Take care of the box, and it'll take care of you. Don't think of it as just another box. Treat it with love. Don't be rough, okay?
For his second taunt, Raiden takes out a sombrero out of his back somewhere, puts it on his head, spins before tossing it off into the distance. He laughs and says "let's go" as his voice clip, before resuming his normal stance. For his third taunt, Raiden squats into the codec call position while looking around. The codec sound plays, but there is no answer. He then lets out an annoyed sigh. The stats of the character are all pretty unique, with his weight being roughly somewhere between Samus and Falco, and his speed being roughly Cloud speed. His jump height is just pretty standard. I would say if I were to measure it on a character, I would give him around basic no Minato Art Shulk jump height. This allows him to give him a chance to get back to the stage, but it'll be difficult nonetheless. So he's going to be a very ground-focused fighter. So, moving on out of Raiden's character and into his fanfare, we know that the DLC characters all come with a stage, and Raiden is no exception. Raiden's stage is the Big Shell, specifically the final boss arena. It's a big walk-off arena stage similar to Bridge of Eldin, with a large open arena with 2 Metal Gear Rays appearing in the background with Solidus Snake ordering them to attack from time to time. Solidus Snake will not appear as a stage boss, but rather he will walk around in the background of the stage, occasionally waving his hand towards a fighter, a random fighter, with a reticle appearing on them. The Metal Gears will then proceed to launch lasers or missiles at that fighter. Other important characters from Metal Gear Solid 2 will appear in the background from time to time, such as Olga, Colonel Galukovich, or even Vamp. Metal Gear Solid 2 has some of my favorite video game soundtracks by far in any video game. In fact, in the background of this video, I've been playing Yell Dead Cell, the main boss battle theme of Metal Gear Solid 2. And although a Metal Gear Solid Rising remix would be more likely, I would like to choose Raiden's main track being a remix of Yell Dead Cell. The other songs included in his DLC pack would include Alert from the Tanker episode of Metal Gear Solid 2, and It Has to Be This Way instrumental version. A lot of other basic stuff. He just shares Snake's victory theme and icon, with the victory theme being the Game Over music from Metal Gear Solids 1 through 3, and the icon being the, well, it used to be the Kojima logo, but now it's the Metal Gear Solid exclamation point. But his render on the character select screen would consist of him looking right with his hand on his sword pointing forward. His animations, his basic movement animations would consist of his walk being the Metal Gear series sneak walk, almost identical to Solid Snake's. His dash would have him run very quickly, leaving sparks behind him as he goes, with his crouch being the same as Snake's with the sword attached to the end of his foot. And something to note, I forgot to mention this when talking about the costumes, but Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Rising Raiden have different voice lines. Both of them crack jokes or just make laughing sounds from time to time when attacking, but Metal Gear Rising Raiden does so half as often. So, what do you guys think? I know that Raiden seems like quite the long-shot character to join the roster, and I don't see him getting in anytime soon. In fact, I don't see us getting any Metal Gear Solid character anytime soon. But if we did, I would be more than happy for it to be Raiden. Be sure to let me know what you think of his moveset, and just be sure to leave the character that you want me to make a moveset for in the comments. I have a couple more planned of my other top 3 characters, with the next one being Phoenix Wright from the Ace Attorney series, and Doom Guy as the episode after that. But after that, I will be looking through these videos and taking recommendations from you guys. Thank you for tuning in today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button. Thank you, and this is Snake signing off.